Hi, Founder fans. Jason here. I am here way super double late, so thank you to anyone who's going to show up. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of miscommunication between my spouse and I. She had told me a while ago and wrote on the calendar that she was working an event at our local baseball game, and I forgot to remember that. So I apologize to everyone involved that happened. That means that trivia is certainly delayed tonight. So anyone, hi Jesse, thank you for coming. Anyone coming for trivia? We're gonna do some of the Sporkle stuff. Unfortunately, because I was with the kids all night, I didn't have time to set up the full questionnaire. Hi Ashley, thank you for coming. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know. I'm also happy to talk about, and this snuck up on me also. I'm obviously not good at scheduling my time. Next week, I am attending the Mohawk Valley American Revolution Conference. I can't believe it's already next week. I'm super pumped. I've only been to one. It was 2 years ago. I was supposed to go last year, but the sickness came about. Is very exciting. I'm going to run through some of the people there so you guys can mull that over and let me know if you have any questions particularly you'd like me to ask. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do there. Most of it is listening to people give presentations. I am not presenting. I am going to talk to Michael Troy a little bit. There's a bunch of people there. I'm probably going to at least ask if they want to come on the show, which I think would be fun. I don't know if we'll find the time to do interviews in person while we're there as much as I'd like that. It would be a little challenging because we'll have to do it on my phone. But I think real quick, we'll start off and run through that real quick, and then we can play some games if you guys are down for that. Again, thank you guys for coming in. I really apologize how late it is and that I snuck it up on you. I am not great, but nope, that's from last week. I'm going to this. This is what we're looking at. So we want to sneak through this real quick. I do have to pull it up myself. So this is the schedule for the Mohawk Valley Conference next week. This is their cool flyer. It's the Fort Plain Museum presents the American Revolution Mohawk Valley Conference. It's a lot of words, but it's awesome. I'm on your live stream, Jesse. I'm not sure. I am live streaming. Let's continue. Anyway, so Mohawk Valley Conference, it's next weekend. The first night is kind of a meet and a hangout, but we are doing a fireside chat. I believe this is on Friday with William Fowler and guest host Christian Despina, who I've been friendly with on several occasions. He's been nice enough to come chat here. I actually met him in person for the first time. The last time I went to the Mohawk Valley Conference. They're talking about the war in the Boston, and they're kind of going over, it appears, and I don't know much about it, I'm just reading what I know here. It looks like they're going to do a deep dive on some of the early leading rebels, including the Adamses, Hancock. You're live streaming me on your live stream. Well, thank you for the cross promotion, Jesse. That's amazing. I'm assuming we got Hancock, Adams, Warren, Revere, and others. I'm assuming we'll be talking about the Otises, several Otis families, the other James Warren, I would suspect, in addition to Dr. Joseph Warren, who Christian Despigna's main book has been about Joseph Warren. And again, if you guys have any questions you want me to ask or anything like that, either comment now, send me an email, hit me on the social medias. Andrew Jackson O'Shaughnessy is going to be speaking about the architect of the British War for America, Lord George Germain. Now, when they say the British War for America, Lord George Germain obviously was the architect from the other side, and the building he tried to build obviously did not work because America, it seems to have won that. We have David O. Stewart, who I'm really excited to hear about, discussing George Washington, the political rise of America's founding father, which is interesting because we often talk about George Washington as like, oh, he was a surveyor and then he became a colonel and he was a young man and he went to Fort Necessity, which we now know as Pittsburgh, and accidentally started the First World War, which was the 7 Years' War, or what we call in America the French and Indian War. And then he took over the Continental Army, and they leave out a giant portion of his life. And he does kind of slowly make a political rise within the United States, but also makes a political rise kind of nationally. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. He not only makes a political rise, but he makes an economic rise. And you know what? I will blow myself back up here for a second to talk about it. We don't know. There's a book that came out recently, and the name kind of escapes me, but George Washington as an entrepreneur. Like, George Washington started a ton of businesses. He was, as Dr. Greg over at Professor Greg at the History That Doesn't Suck podcast likes to put it, Washington was the poorest kid at the rich elite private school. He was part of that top level of American leaders leading up to the American Revolution, but he was never really the guy. Not until the Revolutionary War starts and he becomes commander in chief. But he was always trying to improve his status in life, and he does, of course, he tries to build canals. He starts land companies out west, which are very important. He does shipping and trade. He just does all sorts of business. And while he's building his business acumen, he is also joining the House of Burgesses, following in the footsteps of certain other leaders, the Blands, and there's another guy whose name escapes me, who was a George Washington leader. Actually, I'm going to pull it up right now because it will bother me if I don't remember his name. Washington Burgess. I don't know. We'll see if it comes up. I will continue, though, talking about it. And while we do, I will... No, nothing's coming up. Okay, the name escapes me. There was another guy who led him, but we are going to pop up over here. We'll go back to the events here, because I'm very excited to talk about Eric Schnitzer. So I heard Eric Schnitzer speak before, and Schnitzer actually, he has found certain letters in the past that indicate that Benedict Arnold's relationship with Horatio Gates, which is kind of famously terrible at the Battle of Saratoga, that they were actually being cordial and even dined together just the night before the alleged attack where Arnold was not allowed to join, casting some doubt onto the severity of the relationship between Gates and Arnold. Now, just because people didn't like each other, they were men of honor and they were cordial at times. So they could have dined and been polite at dinner and still absolutely hated each other. Additionally, we have Robert A. Selig is speaking about August 14th, 1781, the day that shook the world. Now, I looked up real quick. This is the day that George Washington finds out that the French are coming. To be specific, that the French Navy is going to Yorktown. It is a big moment that I'm assuming the reason he considers it the day that shook the world is because that's really what made George Washington decide, okay, I have to go to Yorktown now. Even though he didn't want to, he really wanted to take New York City. That was the golden goose right there. But again, I'm speculating a little bit. I'm excited to hear what he has to say. Todd W. Brasted is discussing In Reduced Circumstances, Loyalist Women and British Government Assistance, 1779 to 1783. That I am really interested in. Again, I don't know what specifically he's talking about, but I would assume, I'm hoping, he gets into Loyalist women, implies that their husbands were loyalists. And, did the British government help? Are they widows? Did the British government help? I know many of them were evacuated once their houses and land were taken away. They helped them go to Halifax in Canada. Some of them went to London. So I'm really excited for that. In addition to this one, Katie Turnighetti is speaking about Escape from New York, American Prisoners of War, and the Jails and Prison Ships of New York. The prison ships in New York are one of the most horrific war crimes ever committed, because they literally just had men rot away with barely any food, filled with disease. And then there's also the Sugar House in New York where many people were kept, which also was pretty awful in every fashion. And then it looks like Robert Selig is coming back to speak with Wade P. Katz about the battles of Stone Arabia and Clocksfield. I know the name Stone Arabia, but I don't know a lot about these particular fights. I know a lot of things at the Mohawk Valley Revolution Conference are about the Mohawk Valley. So we'll check that out. It might be relevant to that. Like, I know down here, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but Wayne Lenig is talking about Joseph Brandt's 1780 raid on Fort Plain. So I will be in Fort Plain learning about a raid on Fort Plain. The upstate New York was kind of a terrifying place during the American Revolution. Because the Native Americans, the Iroquois, their nations had split in half. Not in half, it was 4 and 2 split. And then the British were helping them raid, and the Americans were doing raids. And if you couldn't prove you were a patriot, you could suffer just as harshly from the Patriots as you might from the Native Americans who were representing the British in the area at the time. So I'm really excited for that. And then I did skip one. James E. Richmond, War on the Middle Line, the founding of a community in the Kayaderosseras patent in the midst of the American Revolution. I have no idea what this is about. But I absolutely love learning about the founding of communities. Like, most of the area where I live was founded by American Revolutionary veterans here in upstate New York. I love just learning about people going out to Kentucky and Tennessee, or the state of Franklin, as they called it for a while, or Vandalia. There's also, and this isn't really American Revolution, but just after the American founding, going like mostly in the 1840s, there's a bunch of like religions that pop up and intentional communities. Like communism is kind of being talked about, but it's before Karl Marx writes about it. So you have these like fairly utopian communities popping up throughout upstate New York. Here, there's just a ton of religions. The Mormons start about that time. You also have the Oneida community, which actually made silverware. You might know the name Oneida Silverware because it hung around. That's what that religious community did. A bunch of the communities practice celibacy, which means they have to recruit new members all the time, which is why it didn't work out for them. I am just fascinated with that kind of thing. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to make it for they do a bus tour of the area, which unfortunately can't make it for because I have to go middle of the day on Friday. But that being said, I am super excited because I'm going to actually hang out with Michael Troy, which I've never done before, despite the fact that Michael Troy's been on the show every week for the last 6 weeks talking about generals with me. So I'm sure while I'm there, I'm probably going to do a bunch of live videos as long as my phone lets me. I will try and stream live on occasion, just giving you guys updates. If you have any questions about anything I just listed, you can go to the website and check out Who's Speaking Again. I will be happy to, even if not answer, then ask. I'm actually kind of nervous that I won't have enough questions to ask, but I am excited to talk to people in person. I'm also excited to see Eric Schnitzer again. I had met him last time, and then he gave me a tour he works at Saratoga, the campground. He's, I think, the historian there, or one of the historians at the battlefield now. So he actually gave me a little bit of information. It's a walking tour. He didn't do all the fields with me, but he gave me a bunch of information. So thanks, Eric Schnitzer. It's been 2 years. I'm very excited to see everyone. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, checking out the show. Why don't we play? No, Ashley, the presentations are actually in person. This event usually happens in June. This, I think, is the 5th or 6th one. Usually happens in June, but because last year and then getting vaccinated, now it's live. And I am thrilled to actually go shake people's hands and say hi to them. Can't wait. If you want to make a last minute adjustment, tickets are still available, I believe. I probably should have been promoting it a lot for a while now, but part of me is nervous that I don't know. I wasn't certain I was going to go until not long ago, and then part of me is nervous something might happen because the sickness. But now it's next week and everyone's going, so I'm all about it. There are a bunch of other events too coming up. I won't be able to attend most of them, but actually, I know you're on Long Island. Pretty sure the Culper Spy Ring does something in Setauket every year, which is fun. I can't go. All of my stuff happens in September, which stinks because a lot of American Revolutionary War events happen also in September. So, I have 2 children with birthdays in September. And my spouse, it's not like she's always working. Just today I'm talking about it a lot. But she has to go away for a few days in September for employment. And therefore, it hurts my ability to travel. Additionally, my family comes up for my kid's birthday for the family party, which means I'm not going to go to Long Island. I shouldn't just say Long Island. There are places all over the place where there are events. But the good ones that are south, I space out the hanging out with the family because they live kind of far away. And it's best to do it like that. Well, actually, it seems like it might just be me and you right now. Let me pop over here. Yeah, probably just me and you. Do you want to? And you're gone. But we can play trivia if you like. I'm going to pull it up. Let's see. I'm going to play trivia. You can play if you want. Um, I'll tell you what. Ashley, if you're still here, you help me out. I am going to run through the master list of American founders. Yeah. Oh, word. You go to college in Boston. Oh, you're right in the thick of it. That's awesome. um, let's see. All right, Ashley. I think it's me and you then. um, YouTube told me you left, but no, you're still here. I know I threw it out late, and you know, it's a surprise. So, do you want to try the master list, or do you want to try another one? I have the Who's Who of Continental Congress here, which I didn't even click on. Notable key figures of the Continental Congress. Let's see. Can you name the key politicians and other notable figures during the administrations under the Second Continental Congress from July 4th until 1789? Okay, so everything for the Continental Congress. Anyone tuning in? Oh, some people are popping in. Well, you're just in time. We're about to play a game. I just gave a little spiel about next week going to an event. That's okay. For those of you here, we're going to run through this. We only need, now, there are 13 presidents of Congress. We only need one. Secretary of Foreign Affairs, only need one. I forgot to slow down my latency, so I am about 10 seconds ahead of you guys. So, Ashley, why don't you throw out the name you think of a president of the Continental Congress? And when that happens, I'll hit play. I'm choking on my own mouth right now. I'm sorry. And whoever else popped in, let us know you're here. We're having an impromptu hangout because trivia was delayed today. Ashley, Hancock is definitely an answer, if I spell right. Ooh, also a member of Boston Sons of Liberty. Do we know a Secretary of Congress? I do. There's only one the whole time. Secretary of Foreign Affairs, aka future Chief Justice. Superintendent of Finance has the same name as one of my kids. A Secretary of War. I'm pretty far ahead of you. If it gets down to 1 minute, I'm going to try and name as many of these as I can. Because, like I said, I'm a little ahead of you today. Postmaster General. Oh, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Principal author of the Articles of Confederation. President of the Constitutional Convention. All right. Oh, Green. Let's see. Green? Oof. Green was one. Who was it? Wartime Commanding General. Okay. Jefferson was definitely a correct answer. Ooh, also got an ambassador with Jefferson. And we're looking for Federal Court of Appeals judge. This is difficult. Okay, well, Franklin. Oh, Franklin was one. Franklin, what was he? Oh, Postmaster General. See, I was thinking Ebenezer Hazard. Franklin was the correct answer. Madison. Let's see. Oh, primary drafter of the Constitution. Nice. Wartime Commander-in-Chief. Yes. Washington. He's also president of the Continental Congress. You're doing great, Ashley. And other person who's not participating. Secretary of Congress. I talk about him kind of a lot. He's a really important person. He was there the whole time. He was a paid employee. The only person other than John Hancock to sign the original Declaration of Independence. Secretary of Foreign Affairs. I think Chief Justices. Ooh, Randolph. Nice. What was Randolph? What did we get? Oh, President. Was that there before? Oh, they popped in Peyton Randolph as a president of the First Continental Congress. That's why. Pendleton. No. Dickinson was the first primary author of that document. Yes. Jay was a Secretary of War, if I could spell it. And Robert Livingston. I was thinking Henry Knox. Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Whoops, just gave you an answer. Secretary of the Marine. Okay, so Secretary of the Marine is going to be the same person as Secretary of Superintendent of Finance. The financier of the revolution. This person is one of the most important names, though most people overlook it. He's unrelated to another family who had a bunch of signers with the same last name. If that helps. It's also one of my kids' names, so I usually say that. Let's see if it gets down to a minute. I'm going to see if I can fill them in for you. Secretary of Congress, I want you to know. Superintendent of Finance, you should also know. No offense, Ashley. You've been doing this a long time. I gave you a Wentworth this week. I gave you one of the Worths this week. I was thinking of you when I did that. If you don't get these, it's okay. I am going to elaborate on why you need to know those names. Either way, when we're done here. There it is, Morris. That's right. Robert Morris. Also, as I said, a Secretary of the Marine for a good portion of the 1780s. Well, I said Wadsworth. I don't know if that's right. Wadsworth? No. No, he was busy making money supplying the Continental Army. Thompson, there it is. I know you looked that up, but that's okay. Thompson. Yes, Charles Thompson, extraordinarily important person. I did not get the Secretary of War. I did accidentally say the name before. It's also was what when we named one child Morris, the Knox was actually one of the options, but Morris is actually my grandmother's maiden name, so that's why I went with that. Now you know about me. Federal Courts of Appeals judge and wartime naval commander. Okay, we're at 40 seconds. Let's see. I'll let it hit 30. This one, I think I know at least one. There were 5 of them. 3 people served throughout the 1780s. All right, we're down past 30 seconds, so I'm gonna go Hosmer, Titus Hosmer. When you see that name, Naval Commander Jones, got to be John Paul Jones, right? And what are we missing? Secretary of War is Knox, Henry the Knox. We got him. Presidents of Congress, these are just presidents of the Continental Congress. They just were chairmen of the organization. Secretary of Congress, look at those years, 1774 through 1789. Charles Thompson is an extraordinarily important person. He was actually paid to be there. He was hired by Congress. He wasn't sent by Pennsylvania. He just knew a bunch of people there, and they hired him, and he did an amazing job for 15 years. Took the notes that we now use to study the American Revolution. He's an asset to students of history in every sense of the word. Secretary of Foreign Affairs, there were 2 of them. It doesn't really start until after the Articles of Confederation are ratified. Robert Livingston, the Chancellor, he spent most of his time in New York, and then John Jay takes over. And John Jay actually continues when George Washington becomes president. Thomas Jefferson is in Paris still, and is supposed to be Secretary of State, but he hangs around until after the storming of the Bastille, which, by the way, George Washington was president for about 3 months when the Bastille was stormed, and only then did Thomas Jefferson come back to the United States. And it was during that time that John Jay was appointed Chief Justice, but until he became Chief Justice that September of 1789, he was acting first Secretary of State of the United States, though he never really held that position. Robert Morris, Superintendent of Finance, is an interesting title for him because he was really, 1781 is an interesting year because he was really Superintendent of Finance the whole time. He paid out of his pocket for a gigantic part of the American Revolution. Without him, the war simply would not have been paid for. He also gets a lot of help from Gouverneur Morris from New York, who is not related to Robert Morris. Gouverneur Morris is related to the Morris family. Lewis Morris, his older brother, signs the Declaration of Independence. So they're an important family, and Gouverneur Morris would end up drafting the Constitution. We, the people of the United States. That's Gouverneur Morris. He was like a number 2 to Robert Morris, and they worked very closely together, having the same last name despite being unrelated, really funding the Revolutionary War. And I should give a shout out to the number 3, which is Chaim Solomon, who's really, there were several Jewish founding fathers. Chaim Solomon is really the Jewish founding father. And then we look at Secretaries of War, and again, this is during the colonial era. This is from, not colonial, well, essentially from the First Continental Congress through, they said July 4th. It's weird because they gave us Peyton Randolph as like a bonus when we got him. But it's from the Declaration of Independence through the Constitution. You have John Adams, who's chairman of the Board of War for like a minute before he goes to France. Horatio Gates becomes president of the Board of War. I'm surprised they're considering this Secretary of War. Those are different positions, but famously, then the Conway Cabal happens. But he's nominally in this position for 4 years, though after Camden, they're like, get out of here, dude. Then after Yorktown, Benjamin Lincoln takes over for a while until Henry Knox takes over everything. When George Washington resigns his commission, Henry Knox takes over as secretary of, as commander in chief of the United States Army, more or less. Now, there is no army. It's been dissolved and everyone went home. But Knox takes over for a while as senior officer of the army. The first person when Washington resigns to be in charge. And because of that, not only does he have this position for 4 years under the Continental Congress, but when George Washington becomes president in 1789, he continues as the first Secretary of War in the history of the United States. This big, pudgy bookseller who read about war in books and really understood what he read. Hey, Colonel, yeah, we are late tonight. I'm sorry, it's a weird night. I explained it a little bit earlier. I'm not going to repeat it again. But had some confusion with my schedule. We're playing some games. It's not your normal trivia. I did explain how next week I'm going to a fun event, which I hope to shoot some live videos from. Keep an eye out. Secretary of the Marine. We are going to do our big one. Now Colonel's here. Okay, so Ashley and Colonel and the third person who's not commenting. After we go through this, we are definitely going to rock through the big one. So we'll see if we can do it. Secretary of the Marine is, again, Naval. John Adams, again, Marine Committee, while he's, like, chairman of the board. John Adams doesn't get a lot of credit because he goes to France and then he misses the Constitution and everything. John Adams gets certain credit, but he doesn't get a lot of credit for his importance to the war effort in the first few years of the war. He was really the guy in the Continental Congress who was running the show when it came to the war. Of course, it was a group effort, but whatever. John Adams, Francis Lewis, who becomes chairman of the board of Admiralty, who I just spoke about this week. His son, Morgan, he's a signer of the Declaration, and his son, Morgan Lewis, would go on to be governor of New York and beat Aaron Burr in that campaign, as I spoke about earlier this week. Alexander McDougall takes over for a while. Just very briefly, McDougall's an interesting character. He's from New York, and he was part of the early I don't know if he was technically a member of the Sons of Liberty in New York. He was kind of like John Hancock. Not really a member of the Sons of Liberty, but definitely the one they all looked up to. And then, of course, as I said, Robert Morris is running Marine. He's running naval affairs while he's running finance. Robert Morris is such an important American founder that when they went to the Constitutional Convention, the first thing they did is they chose a president to oversee the Constitutional Convention. And there was actually a question about who should run that show. George Washington obviously does. But people weren't sure, do we put Washington there or do we put Robert Morris there? And knowing this, Robert Morris is the one who stood up on the first day of the Constitutional Convention and nominated George Washington to be president of the convention as a show of unity and to say, don't pick me, I'm standing behind Washington. And then, after the Constitution is ratified, because he was the finance guy, when George Washington needs to pick cabinet members, the first person he goes to ask to be a part of his cabinet is Robert Morris. He says, will you be my Secretary of Treasury? And Robert Morris says, no, I spent all my money on this revolution, but your Colonel Hamilton, who was speaking at the Constitutional Convention, why don't you choose Alexander Hamilton to be the first Secretary of Treasury? That was Robert Morris making a recommendation to George Washington. I know we like to think, no, Hamilton was Washington's right-hand man. And it's like, yeah, he was in the war, and then he would kind of be during the first presidential administration, but he was not the first choice for treasurer. Robert Morris was the only choice for treasurer. And that's why Morris had to tell Washington who to pick. Conveniently, someone he knew very well and was very close with. Again, Robert Morris is unbearably hard to underrate when it comes to the United States, the founding of the United States. Postmaster General, this one's fun. Benjamin Franklin, kind of like Franklin was technically Postmaster General for 20 years while he was in London. He comes back and then gets replaced. Richard Bach, I don't know a lot about. I should probably make him the founder of the day soon, so I can learn about him. Ebenezer Hazard is in this position for most of the 1780s. He actually expects to stay as Postmaster General when George Washington takes over, but Washington doesn't like some of the changes he made, changing from stagecoach delivery to single rider delivery, and he started charging newspaper newspaper publishers to mail their papers to other publishers. They used to do that for free. As a like, hey, might want to print this article too. People saw it as a way to pass information at a time before the internet, especially now. Ebenezer Hazard said, no, you should pay postage like everyone else. Washington didn't care for this, especially because it was right as the ratification debates were going on about the Constitution. Now, Ebenezer Hazard was a Federalist, but it looked like, oh, the Federalists are withholding information so they could sneak through this coup and get their new government in there. Now, of course, George Washington didn't think it was a coup, and he didn't think they were sneaking through the government. That's why he was upset that it looked that way to many people. Members of the Boston Sons of Liberty. Well, this is obviously an extremely small list. It was a giant list of people in the Sons of Liberty. These are the big names. Samuel Adams, everyone knows. Benjamin Eads, I don't know a ton about him. I should probably make him the founder of the day soon, learn a little bit. John Hancock, everyone knows. Dr. Joseph Warren was really running the show in Boston. Once the Adamses and Hancock go to the Second Continental Congress, Joseph Warren is running the show. Of course, he's martyred at Bunker Hill. Paul Revere gets a lot of credit for one ride. Paul Revere made like 10 really important rides. He's the one who brings, Joseph Warren writes the Suffolk Resolves, while everyone's meeting at the First Continental Congress. Those resolves were, I'll remind you, Boston had been shut down and is under a military dictatorship, and Joseph Warren writes, this is what we should do. And Paul Revere rides all the way to Philadelphia, goes to the First Continental Congress, and gives them the Suffolk Resolves, which changes the direction of Congress. Because now John Adams is like, look, this is what my boy Joseph Warren is doing in Boston. This is what we need to do. We need to unite. We need an army. And it was not just Warren do that, but the fact that Paul Revere rode all the way to Philadelphia and went to the First Continental Congress, not as a delegate, but to deliver an urgent message. And it's extremely important because this message leads to the boycott of all the colonies except Georgia from the First Continental Congress, the Articles of Association and the Declaration of Rights and Resolves. Blah, blah, blah. Paul Revere also rode to Portsmouth, New Hampshire for the Portsmouth Alarm. He rode so many times on like really important rides. William Mackay, I believe he's the one I spoke about with J.L. Bell, and I'm like mind blanking on why he's important, but he's certainly important. James Otis Jr., he was the loudmouth. He inspired Sam Adams. We all think of Sam Adams as the guy in Boston. No, James Otis Jr. was the guy in Boston, but he was such a loudmouth. He ends up getting in a bar fight with some British officers, gets hit in the head, and he's not the same afterwards. Now, there are arguments to be made based on some writings that he was already starting to lose his mental facilities when he got hit in the head, but after that, he is not the same person. It's sad. And then, so he kind of sits out the revolution, and then he gets struck by lightning. Weird. James Swan is fun because he ends up after the war going to France and making a lot of money. When the French Revolution breaks out, all the people are stealing from French people, stealing from the royals, and they sell it to Swan at a discount because they need money to fight the revolution. And Swan goes on to sell it in America and makes a huge profit, and then takes that money to buy America's debt. Because France loaned America a ton of money, but those were loans, and it was supposed to be paid back. And then the French Revolution breaks out, and that debt's still owed, but no one knows who to, because the king's dead, and people are getting beheaded everywhere. So James Swan buys it, and actually, for a time, owns the debt of the United States. Dr. Thomas Young is fascinating. So he's from like Connecticut, and then he ends up in New York. He becomes a physician. He goes to Albany and starts the Sons of Liberty in Albany, New York. There were Sons of Liberty kind of all over the place. And then he goes to Boston, and he really gets swinging there. I should note, when he's in Albany, becomes friends with Ethan Allen, and together they write a book about deism. And deism, the very shortest explanation on this style of religion, is the belief that there is a God, and God created everything in the world, and now God stepped back, and he's just kind of watching, and he's not going to participate, just hanging out, watching what happens, like he made some kind of reality TV show, and he's just watching it. Not to make fun of deism, it's a really interesting religion. Many founders were actually deists. Now, Young, this would come back to haunt Ethan Allen later in life. As for Young, he goes to Boston. He's there. He's actually he starts giving speeches about tea, and not just about the tea tax, but some people started saying this at the time, that drinking tea itself was bad for you. So why do we even pay the tax? We shouldn't be drinking tea. He is one of the people giving a speech in Boston as a distraction, while certain people who are dressed as Native Americans throw tea off the boats at the Boston Tea Party. So he's the distraction. Isaiah Thomas is a publisher. He was a publisher in Boston. I think the name of the paper was the Massachusetts Spy, name of the paper. Published paper for a long time. Bunch of American Revolution stuff. Great guy. Thomas Jefferson, we know. John Dickinson, I talk about all the time. Wrote a bunch of stuff. Just all the important stuff except the Declaration and the Constitution. John Dickinson wrote. Though he did go to the Constitutional Convention. Let's see. It looks like it might be freezing a little bit. Hopefully not. James Madison, we know. Governor Morris, I was speaking about before. George Washington. We have wartime commanders, blah, blah. Oh, I did want to speak about this. The Federal Court of Appeals. I sure hope I'm not freezing. It certainly looks like I am over there. Anyway, the Federal Court of Appeals. Now, the Articles of Confederation were not a federal government in any fashion. But they did one thing that was kind of federal. They knew they needed a court, especially for things that happen on the high seas and the open ocean. It does, let me know if I'm freezing up, because it does say I'm freezing up. I'm a little nervous about it. Doesn't look great. All right, well, we'll call it soon enough then. But the Federal Court of Appeals was essentially an admiralty court for any things that happen on the high seas. And as you can see, 3 people were chosen right off the bat. Titus Hosmer is only there for a few months. William Paca for about 2 years. And then Cyrus Griffin, George Read, and John Lowell are really the federal authorities when it came to making legal decisions. They didn't settle many disputes between states or anything of that nature, but they did have... Yeah, the stream is freezing. Yeah, I don't know why. My computer seems to be mad at me today. It's one of those days. I kind of noticed it when I was signing out. Well, I apologize for that. Well, in that case, we'll finish up here then. I know you guys want to play the thing, but if it's freezing, then that's not going to be a ton of fun. I do appreciate you guys coming to hang out for a little while. And again, I should apologize. I should bring myself up, make myself big. I do apologize to you guys for so late in the game telling you my schedule got conflicted and I could not do trivia as per normal. The world is a sad place, and I've made it sadder. I beg your forgiveness. Yeah, it does seem to be freezing up, so I also apologize for that. Not my best day. Looks like it's doing better now. Well, that's great. Again, I am like 10 seconds ahead. It's not my best day as a streamer on the internet. Nick, it's okay to be late. I am the one who was late today. And as I was saying, the stream's not going so well. I'll tell you what. Before we go, do you guys want to do a run through? You want to, now it says no data at all. Okay. Not running enough video to stream smoothly. So it won't go well, but if you want to, we can definitely play Name 1,000 Founders or whatever it's called. Let me know. Again, I'm like 10 seconds ahead of you guys. Let me know if you want to. I think there's 3 of you active now. I don't know if Colonel's still here. I'm doing good. Well, we'll see. We'll see. It's almost 11. I'm a little sleepy. Stream's current bitrate is recommended in lower bit rates. The problem is that I did not switch my settings to... It's on low latency. It shouldn't be a problem. Oh, good connection. All right. Well, now it's telling me we're good. So, I'm going to pop it up. Let's do the big fun time. I've spoken enough today. Nope, not trivia. Unfortunately, I didn't get it up today. People popping in now. Okay, people really want to come in late. Maybe I should be doing these in the middle of the night. I know some of you are on the other coast. So, you know the drill. If you don't know the drill, just name every founder you know. People in the military don't really count. We're looking for legislators, Continental Congress people, signers of the Declaration, signers of the Articles of Confederation, signers of the Constitution and the First Continental Congress delegates, and members of the inaugural House and Senate. I am ready to play when you are. When I see a name, I'm going to go. And wait for next week because it's delayed even further. Well, I was at least 10 seconds ahead. I am probably like. Yeah, it's giving me trouble, guys. You know what? I'm embarrassed to do this, but. Oh, Nick's in. Okay, well, you know what? Well, you know what? We'll do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right, we got Washington. Can't hurt. I'll type them in. The thing is, even if my stream isn't working very well, at least I can see what you're typing in the comments. Although, truthfully, if my stream's not doing so well, part of the problem is when I do Sporkle, when I do these quizzes, this actual game takes up a lot of bandwidth in my computer, so it's already slow, and then adding it to a computer that's being tough. All right, Adams, let's do it. Although to be fair, it keeps popping in and telling me excellent condition over here. All right, we're in. Well, we're already a minute in, so I see you guys pumped to do it. Let's do it. You know, Adams is actually 4 correct answers. Andrew Adams, Samuel Adams, John Adams, and Thomas Adams. That's fun. That's a fun fact. Anyone popping in, just name American founders. We're going for it. Lee, Hamilton, Jefferson. All right. Madison, Franklin. Yeah, let's get the big 6 out of the way. Bean. I don't know that one. Monroe. J. Dean. I do know that one. Lee. Oh, did Lee. Smith. Carroll. Payne. Dwayne. Monroe we just did. Floyd. All right. Filled them up. Dyer. Van Dyke. Reed. DeHart. Dana. Hart. Reed. Do we do both reads? Oh, there. Now we have Sinixon. Paca. Lynch. St. Clair. Coles. Dana. Oh, to Dana. Hayward. Stone. Lynch. Floyd. Okay. We got a Matthews. We got some favorites over here. Oh, 1T. Lansing Brown. Wow, can't spell. Yates. Gary. White. St. Clair. Do we do St. Clair? Rush. Ellery. Livermore. Conti. Yates. Do we do Yates? We did. Cini. Winnett. Jennifer. Gilman. Leonard. Spell it right, man. Not you, me. Leonard. You did spell it right. Grout. Ingersoll. Gorham. Gunn. Cadwallader. I pronounced that wrong. I think it's Cadweller. There's a way to pronounce it. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Aesop Goldsboro. Boudinot. Sedgwick. Baldwin. Huntington. With. Bland. Dayton. Dickinson. Vining. Drayton. Whipple. Johnson. Livingston. John. Dunn. Jackson. Oh, what about the Secretary of Finance I was making a big deal about before? Bloodworth. Whipple. No Whippleton, just Whipple. Wentworth. Wadsworth. Ellsworth. Langworthy. I think it's Langworthy, but we'll call it Langworthy to fit him in with the Worths. Ward. Is that Thomas? No. Nope, no Thomas. It's funny. It's funny, Nick. You go to Thomas every week. Everyone has one name. Braxton. I think. I used to do Miller. I always thought every time I would play, I'd do Miller. Randolph. Did I do Randolph? Pendleton. I think we did that. Okay. Braxton Thompson. Braxton Thompson. Otis Morton. Hanson. Foster. Kinsey. Broom. Butler. Thompson. Wisner. Hall. All right. We're rocking through. Thornton. Sherman. There's one that sounds like it, but has a lot more letters. There's another Sherman. I guess I gave it away. Morris, there it is actually. Trumbull. Let's see. Thatcher. Bourne. Dalton. Collins. Student football players. Walton. Did I need Foster real quick? Yeah. Speaking of football players. Martin. Mason. Okay. Oh. Sturgis. Gale. Pierce. Cool. All right, doing pretty good. Anyone popping in? We are just naming as many American founders as we possibly can. Benson. Harrison. Sylvester Marchant, which I think is 2. Wincoop. Blount. Partridge. Bland. We got Bland. There it is. Sherman. There's a C in there too. It's a big name. Van Dyke. Do that one. Oh, if I spell right. Van Dyke. Nope, must have done it. There's another Van we didn't do. Heister. Hathorn. Housestone. Hey, Rogue. Taylor. Absolutely. Good one. Houston. Rogue, I haven't seen you before. Just so you know, we're specifically looking for legislative branch. So Continental Congress, signers of documents, first U.S. Congress. So for inaugural members of the House and Senate, signers of the Constitution, first Continental Congress. So generals in the war aren't necessarily going to be correct answers. But thank you for coming. This is fun. And we're way late today, but we're good. We got someone new. Hudson, Harnett. Hancock. Do we do Hancock? Ooh, don't want to miss that one. Harvey, Davy, Wolcott, With. We've also been playing for a while, so don't get overwhelmed with us being very good at this. With Van Rensselaer. That's it. Thank you for spelling it for me. Clark, Paca. Let's see. Marchand, we just did. Chase. Clymer. Taylor. Yeah, we did Taylor. All you need is the last name. We got it before. You got the right answer. Thank you. McKean. Hosmer. Did we do? Nope. Hayward. I think we did. Chase. We did. That's all right. Hughes. Lewis. Steele. Parker. Did we do? Nope. Stone. Did. Bartlett. Did we do Bartlett? We did it. Carol is absolutely an answer. Thank you. Oh, we must have already put it in, but that's definitely a right answer. That's several right answers. Strong, Brown, Moore, Crane, Stanton, Hartley, Huntington, Swan. We're just talking about him. Not a right answer, though. Few, Livermore, Goodhue. Carol, we just tried. Didn't work. I mean, it didn't work because we probably already got it. Because it's definitely several correct answers. Ellery. Hooper. Elmer. Gary. I think we did get Gary a little earlier. Izzard. All right, we're cruising through. Taking a little hiatus. That's okay. I'll sip my water if you guys take a break. Oh, Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons. Ingersoll, I believe we got. Hart, we got. Is we just did Bassett. Ellery, we just did. Page, Braxton. Let's see, Bedford. Do we do Bedford? Rodney, good one. Gunn. I think we got Gunn. That's okay. Cruising along. It's a little song I wrote for you guys. It was a hit. Hopkins. Oh, we got Hopkins and Hopkins' son. There, you got a free one, Nick. Phew. Speaking of the sons, I think we've missed some. Mifflin absolutely is a correct answer. Whammy right up top for you. Rogue, thank you for coming to hang out. Floyd, I think we got a little earlier. McKean, Middleton. I will tell you, Rogue, we just played trivia on Fridays. We're actually playing a little bit late tonight. The rest of the week, we talk about the American Revolution. And yes, Galloway is absolutely a correct answer. Well played. Hall, we must have gotten. I talk about the American Revolution all the rest of the week. So we just got the Hopkinsons. Hall, we just did. Hawkins. But there's another set of sons we did not do, Ashley, which you're usually the one who pulls out for us. Pendleton. There it is, Ash. Thank you. Williamson. Henry. Ooh, we got Henry. Is there one that sounds like Henry? Morris, we got. There it is, right away. Spate. McHenry. Dewar. All right. 189. Cruising along. Winnett. Ooh, we don't want to miss Button. We must have already gotten him because he's there. Schuyler. Absolutely. Grayson. Yes, the first senator to die in office. King. Witherspoon. Lawrence, White. Oh, must have gotten it. Everyone's on the same page. I like that. Blair, Whammy Jammies. All right. Telfair. Nailed it. Slowing down a little bit. That's okay. Again, not a whole ton of us. I think we just did. Got it. Harvey. Got him. Dayton. All right, why don't we cruise through a little bit? So we need a First Continental Congress person. We need a declaration signer from Pennsylvania. What about the Salt Guy? Did we do Salt Guy? Dayton? Bannister, I think is what you meant. Rush, I think we got. But Ross, I don't know if we got. There he is. Gorham, Nathaniel Gorham. Oh, must have got him. Really important dude. Bannister just did. Biddle. Yes. Ooh, Rogue. There's a viewer, Jane, who's a family member of the Biddles, who absolutely adore that you got Biddle on your first time hanging out with us. Smith, Bedford. Let's see, Livingston is at least one, which we must have already got. Dickinson, I do believe we already got. Mason, that's right. It's better to say it twice than not at all. Remember that. Pinkney, Nelson, Wilson, Giles, Stockton, Rutledge, Rhodes. Oh, we're on a hot streak right there. Tell you what. Let's see. Scroll down a little bit. We do need some article signers from Pennsylvania. A Constitutional Convention delegate from Virginia. I figured it out. Yeah. Langdon. Yes. Love me some Langdon. Rober Joe. Hate spelling that name, but it's right. Wingate. Morton. Oh, we must have gotten him. That was a bad hint then. Muhlenberg. Yes, that's probably two. Rodney. Scott, definitely. Maclay. There it is. That was the name I had trouble with before. Patterson. Okay. Bolton. Sturgis. We did do Sturgis earlier. Klingon. Did we do that? Whammy. Grout, I think we got. That's all right. Brearley, head of the Committee of Postponed Parts. Brearley was in charge at the Constitutional Convention of all the things that were put aside that were too hard to figure out. Johnson. Leonard, I think we got. Mercer. Mifflin. We did get. Rogue, our new friend Rogue got Mifflin. Well played. Griffin. Did not get. Oh, Griffin's actually two. Cyrus Griffin and Samuel Griffin. Who's Samuel Griffin? Well, what do you know? Because I'm going to have to learn about that person too. Patterson, I think we just got. Benson, got. Yates, did we do Yates? We did. Muhlenberg, we just typed in. Lansing, I think we got. That's right. Oh, Gadsden with his fancy little flag. If I spell it right, it is true. I mean, DSD is in the middle of his name. What kind of name is that? Mason Gadsden. Pennsylvania pretty good at. We do need a Constitutional Convention delegate from Virginia. Hathorne. My name is escaping me on him too, and I keep talking about him because I keep wanting to remember. Ah, Tillman. I think I've remembered it. Not sure. Butler, we got. Oh, Cushing. Yes, Nick, it's McClurg. Wait, McClurg. Did we already get McClurg? Oh, there's two C's. It's McClurg, not McLurg. Got it. Oh, you always tricked me, Nick. I knew it was there. I knew that was the name, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. There it is, Nick. You nailed it. Thank you. Sullivan. We got Sullivan. Great. We need one senator in the first Congress with William Grayson and James Monroe from Virginia. All right. Oh, we need a few randos from New York. We've talked about a lot recently. Because close to me. Selfish. Burke. Yes, Aiden is Burke. Definitely. Walker. I think so. Yeah. Folsom. I think we got. Herring. There it is, Ashley. Herring. Then the other guy from New York. First Continental Congressman from New York. We have Floyd. We have Alsop. We have Lowe. Livingston. Herring and Wisner. Borum. There it is. You typed it just as I remembered. The guy from what we now know as Brooklyn. See, New Jersey. We need an article signer from Jersey. We need two congressmen from South Carolina. Oh, as well. Yes. Broom. Scott. Does Broom have an E? Nope. Let's see. Oh, we're real close. Stanton, I think we did. I think that person's like the grandfather of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Wisner, I think we got. Yeah. Giles, we did. Hooper, did we? Yep, we got him. We've got Connecticut. We've got Maryland. We've got Delaware. North Carolina, we need some congressmen. Tillman. Galloway. Yeah, we got Galloway. Our new friend Rogue got Galloway. Martin. Nope. Humphreys. I don't remember doing Humphreys. Good one. New Hampshire. We need a declaration signer from New Hampshire. No, someone typed Bartlett. Yeah, okay. No, we typed Bartlett before and it didn't work, so I'm giving that. I don't want to mess up something that someone definitely said. Collins. I remember having trouble typing it in, being like, why isn't this working? Ash, yes, nailed it. Castle, we just did. Ward, do we do? Yeah. Sevier, I think. Oh, we didn't do. Okay, nice, nailed it. All right, need three more. Who do we need? Who do we need? Who do we need? We are looking for two congressmen in the inaugural United States House of Representatives from South Carolina. And someone else. I think we did Harrison. Yeah, Harrison's right here. Who else we been missing? An article signer from New Jersey. The doctor who died in battle. He's not the guy who hid in a cave. Doctor who died in battle. What hints can I give you? He's the only active member of the Continental Congress to have died in battle while an active member of the Continental Congress. Signer of the Articles of Confederation from New Jersey. His first name is Nathaniel. I'll give you that hint because we're close and it's really tough and we've typed in so many names. Not Thornton. As for the delegates from South Carolina to the first Congress, yes, there it is. Well done. Scudder. Well done, Amber. Sumter. Oh, did we do Sumter before? Maybe not. Okay, good. Sumter and no, Brearley we did. I have no idea who this person is. I can't give you a hint. South Carolina first inaugural Congress. Wow, it's really eating at my insides not knowing the answer to this. There's so many people here. We did the colors. Dwayne. No, Dwayne was from New York, I think. I've drawn so many blanks. We did Rutledge. Hamilton's from Virginia. That doesn't count. Oh man. Oh man. Huger. Oh, Colonel Misfit coming through with Huger. Nailing it. Nailing it. All right, not our best. You know what? I'll pull myself back up. It's not our best. It's not the best we've ever done, but we did it with 13 seconds left. So that's really impressive. I'm actually more impressed that we did it in the nick of time than we did it with plenty of time. Yeah, Colonel came through just in time. Thanks for playing, guys. It's always a lot of fun. I know, like I said, it's a little late tonight, and it's not our usual game. That's on me. I'll sit up straight now that I'm back on camera. I'll sit up straight and talk to you guys. Again, next week's trivia isn't going to happen. I'm going to be at the Fort Plain American Revolution Conference in Fort Plain, New York. It's going to be exciting. I am going to shoot a bunch of videos there. I'm going to try and go live as much as I can. I went through it earlier today, but if you go to the Fort Plain Museum website, there's a list of things there. If you can get to upstate New York and you want to come, it's only $100, so come on, hang out. But if not, read through it. If there's anything that interests you, any questions you have from that, let me know, because I'm gonna listen to the author speak. I'm definitely gonna meet a bunch of people. This time, it won't be my first conference, so I won't be quite as nervous to introduce myself as before. I've also spoken to a whole ton of authors at this point, so now I'm a lot more confident. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Come and hang out a little bit late tonight. It is going on 11:30 here, so I am starting to lose my voice and be a little tired. So I am going to call it right about now. As we said last week, you guys seemed really interested in me, like, talking about certain, like, television shows and things like that. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do that. I don't want to just go live and surprise you like I did tonight, but I do want to talk about stuff like that. I'm thinking about starting with, and I did this a while ago. I did a live, like, watch along with the Hamilton play. I'm thinking about going through some of the lyrics of some of the songs to put more perspective on that, because a lot of people know the play, and there's a lot to take from it, but there's also, obvious artistic differences. I know people do watch-alongs. I looked into it this week. I'm not entirely sure how to do a watch-along or what the best way to go about that is. But if you want, I know most of you are on the Discord channel, so if you want to leave me a message, I've been trying to be more active over there. I'm trying to be good about it. I should be here saying I'm on Discord all the time. I want to be more active about it. It's on my phone. I've been trying to look at it at least once a day. So please pop over there. Let's make it happen. Do some watch-alongs, or do some just fun American Revolution stuff, because apparently there are people like you out there who are like me and like the American Revolution. So I am Nick, going to get a good night's rest. Thank you, Colonel. I will have fun. I will do something live at some point this week beforehand. I don't know what. Give me recommendations and I'll do it. Thank you guys for coming. I am going to go. We usually end trivia with Peacefield. So thank you for watching. I'll be back soon. Peacefield.